there is one song that I did leave off of there. One song that has to deal with some instances that happened to me. These were personal experiences. One I won't mention right here. I would rather just mention it on record if I'm going to put that out, then everyone would hear about that. Another specifically about, I used to be heavily involved in church, but at the last church that I was at, and this has been probably 5 years ago, a situation with a pastor and another person out of that same church, and just people in general. People in the industry, they're wolves. You know what I'm saying? They show differently and act differently, but they're really wolves. And right now I'm not saying names because that's not appropriate for this point in time. Not saying that I would never say names, but right now for my purpose and what I'm doing and trying to carry out, it's not relevant right now. But I will say that. Honestly, in the church, and that particular one at that particular time is what I'm actually alluding to or talking about in the record. But I don't even think this song will make it. I'm not sure. The last thing I'm trying to do is be a negative person, but again, when it's stuff that really I experience it. You know what I'm saying? It happened to me. I dealt with it, confronted it, talked about it, whatever it was, but, resolution still wasn't made. You know what I mean? So that's the very things that drive people to do things, and people say that, oh, they're crazy and da-da-da. No, but you can't just, you know what I'm saying? You can't just do anything you want in a selfish manner and think it's okay. Run-ins with police, with cops. I talk about those, and specifically, I can see how a lot of these, we call them incidents, but they're not incidents. They don't just, an incident is something that happens to happen. A lot of times it's kids and teenagers, their profile. And so because of a cop's thinking, upbringing, their past, whatever they feel, their peers, however they're influenced, they think they can just kill them and murder them. And it's brutality. We see social media, news, radio, everything. You know what I'm saying? We hear it, we see it, they do it for a reason. This actually happens, and they're usually taunted because I've seen that. And then people treat you by what they see. Your color, your skin tone, your height, the way the clothes you wear, your height. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's judgmental. Everyone judges you. You know what I'm saying? Based upon sight. I mean, that is just what it is. In this record, I mentioned some run-ins with the police. Like one specifically, like I'm detailing the car, and I'm out in a parking lot. And man, a Metro, and it was here in Nashville, Metro rolled by. Then the security, when I rolled up, the security in the mall security, I was out in the mall parking lot, the security in the mall. You know what I'm saying? Like they were hawking me. And that's what I told the people I was detailing their car, right? So I told them, I was like, man, well, this guy's hawking me. And the people I was detailing that car, he kind of made a joke. He was like, oh, yeah, this old Barney Fife type guy. You know what I'm saying? We kind of, chuckled, a little bit at it or whatever. But when they left and we went in the mall, these security's still rolling. So then Goodlettsville security rolls up. Now, this is when it got interesting. He rolls his truck around. I'm parked. I got my work van. It's open. You can see the big tank of water, hose out of it, vacuum. Side doors open. And so he rolls up. He comes from, for the sake of conversation, I'm south. He comes from the north. coming south towards me, semicircles and whips his vehicle around, gets out and says, "What are you doing?" Now, to me that was a dumb, obvious, rhetorical question, because with everything exposed, the water tank vacuums out, and I'm down in the car, and I'm actually moving my hand to vac, and so this guy gets out and he says, "What are you doing?" And I just turned, and this was instinctively, because I'm like, man, like in Charlotte, and when I was on the road, I had to deal with stuff with cops, like, you know what I'm saying? So in my mind, again, I see another cop, and it's just being real, straight up honest. You know what I'm saying? That's why I know you know what I'm saying? That's how I know what this stuff is about and the feelings that come with it. But this guy says to me, like, after he says that, he's like, "What are you doing?" I just turn and I'm like, "What do you mean, what am I doing?" You know what I'm saying? Like, that was my response to him. Okay, so then we could say, okay, maybe that it could have turned bad. You know what I'm saying? It didn't. And I write about this in the record, and I actually, that's a line that I say is, this moment could have been ruined. My whole premise in that is, and my point is, they do the taunting. They try to, and we see that every day with people. You know what I'm saying? And I can get more specific than I am right now, but I'm not going to do that. But I will say, a lot of times these police, and I talk to police even in Charlotte, dealing with this stuff, like, y'all don't even know, this stuff is so real. Like, you can't not deal with it or say anything. You can't. And then when it happens time after time, you got an attitude about, let's just be up front and frank. You know what I'm saying? And people need to be understanding of that, because they will taunt you. I've had ATF in Atlanta come up and just stand next to me. Now, I don't know if they thought I was, somebody, or they, or what the case was, but just stands next to me the exact same way that I was standing. And so I said, okay, this is a child in my mind. This is childish behavior. I recognize that. So that one I chose to ignore. But there are other ones where I've said something and I've it's like you can't not always not say anything. You know what I'm saying? And then when you do, yeah, it can go bad, and all they say, "Oh, I was threatened." That's a bunch of mess. That's mess, because they started. And I've seen it. But I write about that, and I am passionate about that, because with my, I got a nonprofit outreach, and we deal with that stuff and we try to, bring the kids up right, to do right, and tell them about different things. But when you have stuff like this go on, it's like, what do you tell them? You can't tell them nothing. You know what I'm saying? So anyhow, I talk about those situations. Here in Nashville, it was another on Hillsborough Road. I talk about that in the record. You know what I'm saying? And again, along the lines of still inspired, like, even though that stuff went on, you know what I'm saying? And you got to deal with that stuff, confront it, or in some cases, you may let one or two go, then it's like I'm still inspired. You know what I'm saying? I'm inspired. I'm inspired to talk about it. I'm an artist, so I'm going to talk about it. So I need to be firing these guys. You know what I'm saying? Or these people, even the people who are with them, and they stand by and don't do anything. You know what I'm saying? Because that happens. They'll stand and watch it play out and won't say anything to their partner. No, you shouldn't do that, because it can be taken such and such way. So, man, anyway, I can keep going, but stuff with childhood, how I grew up in my family, you know what I'm saying, under one roof, and, my dad was there, my mom was there, you know what I'm saying, both sides of grandparents we had. So that record may or may not make it. I will add to that, it's crazy. I don't know how this part of it should or can be looked at, or whatever the case is, but it's just something almost ironic that, okay, yeah, there was, a time in my life when I was kind of you know what I'm saying, like out there and with a bunch of stuff, you know what I'm saying, drugs, and then that the quote unquote, I guess, you know, like the street life. You know what I'm saying? Just not that I just, you know, grew up that way, but I'm saying I did. I got out there. But it's something at that time, and you know, there were run-ins with cops. I'm not saying it's good, you know what I'm saying, but you know what I'm saying, you run from them because you don't want to get caught. Kind of dodge them or whatever. But it's something now that, you know, now this is happening. Like the run-ins I've had with cops seem to be as many as, shoot, you know, at that time when really there was a reason for them to be. No, I'm not gonna leave it. It is what it is. It shouldn't be that, you know, it shouldn't be this way. But then when I was over here doing that, you know, I mean, almost justifiably, and I say almost because, heck, you got, I mean, you got to ask yourself, how do drugs get in America?